Hello. I was saying in the last few videos how in order to uh, address the problems of anxiety, depression, stress and all the mental illnesses that are affecting our society today, we first have to identify the cause. And I believe I have identified the cause. We have created a society that's greedy, selfish, ungrateful, with a sense of entitlement and that takes no responsibility for their lives or their actions. And that's what's causing all the suffering. And it's going to get worse unless it's addressed. Uh, by, Instead of accepting suffering as a part of life, in an attempt to alleviate suffering, we've taken out corporal punishment, which meant that there was no traumatic experiences for people to register as consequences of their actions. So as a result, people have grown up not contemplating the consequences of their actions. And then with the introduction of calculators, phones, laptops, everything else, people have not developed a short-term working memory, which means they've no faculty of reason, they don't think, and they don't have any great potential for their short-term working memory. So they haven't developed their brain quite nearly to an acceptable or normal level. Then, as well as this, instead of teaching people to take responsibility for how they feel, and they're responsible for teaching them how to master their emotions, as a society we have created a society where everybody blames everybody else for how they feel. Everybody. So if I feel bad, it's everybody else's fault. It's not. We haven't internalized our feelings. We blame external events for how we feel, which means everybody else is at fault. We have created a society where everybody is responsible for how everybody else feels. And when you do this, then people don't really take responsibility for their lives. And when you don't take responsibility for your lives, life loses meaning. You have no meaning, which causes depression, which causes anxiety, which causes all this sort of thing. And then when we get into the habit of blaming everybody else for for how we feel, when we start blaming everybody else for how we feel, that's when things start to go wrong. For instance, we have no resilience in the face of adversity. For instance, Caroline Flack is an example. In the face of adversity, when as a result of the consequence of her actions, after hitting someone with a lamp, when she was going to court for this, she chose to top herself. Now, choosing to top herself is her choice. It's her life, and it was hers to do whatever she chose with it. But because she had no resilience built up in the face of adversity, when it came to coping with adversity, she topped herself. But then, as a society, we don't say, "Oh, that was her choice." We turn around, we blame everybody else. So social media is to blame, society is to blame, everybody's to blame, but not her, even though it was her choice to top herself. So that's what's happening. And then what happens as a result of creating this society, the thinking of society is directly proportional to the thinking of the average individual. Which means as a society we don't take responsibility for our actions and for the consequences of our lives. We don't take responsibility for our lives as a society. Like, since when was it the onus of the state to provide everybody with a house? I always grew up thinking that it was our own responsibility to get a job and buy a house, and if you couldn't afford a house, you don't have a house. Or you go and you live with someone else, or you rent somewhere. But it's recent that the onus is now on the state to provide everybody with a house. When did this come in? And by creating this society, by putting the onus on the state to provide everybody with a house, and putting the responsibility of the state for our lives, making our lives the responsibility of the state, we're headed towards socialism. Because, as Socrates once said, like, the problem with democracy is that too many sweet shop owners and not enough doctors. In other words, too many people making promises, offering out the sweets to the plebs and saying, oh, I'll give you an extra fiver in the door, or I'll give everybody a house, or I'll build 100,000 houses. And the plebs don't even think about this. They don't even think about the possibility of this being actualised. They just vote for them, a left government. Even though the left government have offered 100,000 houses, the building experts have said that this is actually not possible. 10,000 houses maybe in 3 and 4 years, but now 100,000 houses. This is the building experts have said this is not possible. But the plebs have not considered this. They just said, oh, the left are going to the social side of our government have offered to blow the budget, and this is typical of nationalism. Me, myself, and I. So it's typical of the selfish individual, thinking only of themselves, not thinking about the consequences of their actions, but to vote in a government who represent them. And by putting all our lives in the making our lives the responsibility of the government, we're headed towards socialism. And socialism, if you want to look at socialism, look at Venezuela, or look at the thing that I posted yesterday about communism, and look at what communism, the effects of communism. You do away with the free trade market, you do away with all innovation, you give away all freedoms, and you're basically reverting back to socialism and communism. But you're not looking at the consequences of this. The problem is everybody has too much. But like if you look at countries like Romania or Turkey, the people are lovely. They're not greedy, selfish. They don't feel this sense of entitlement. And they're lovely people. Ireland used to be lovely people, but they've changed. They've changed because the more they got, the more they want. The takers don't set limits. That's the problem. We want more. And that's instant gratification. And the thinking of society is directly proportional to the thinking of the individual. So as a society, we want more. We are going to be happy when we get more. Like even the homeless people, and before anybody says to me about being homeless, oh, you don't know what it's like to be homeless. I lived homeless for nearly a year in Turkey, with nobody, the state giving me absolutely nothing. So I do know what it's like to be homeless, and I most certainly, like when I come home here and I see the homeless people getting 3 and 4 and 5 meals a day, they're absolutely not hungry. They're given shelter at night, they're given blankets and everything else, but still everyone that's homeless, I want a house, I want a house. Since when did entitlement? Everybody entitled to a house? That's communism, and the price of that is giving away your freedom. And I'll tell you now, freedom is more valuable than anything else. And then when you look at the government that you're giving your freedom to, the TDs that you voted in because they promised to blow the budget, they had a panel of these TDs on the other night on the television, the people who are going to be running our country, and they spent half an hour of a debate about somebody, one of the TDs, didn't call someone a cunt on social media. He liked the fact that someone called someone else a cunt. And everybody debated this for half an hour, that he liked that somebody else called someone else a cunt, and they were demanding an apology for this. And half an hour of live debate on our national network over somebody liking the fact that someone called someone else a cunt and demanding an apology of them. And this is what's going to be running our country. I'm just saying, it's time to turn this ship around and start actually looking at the causes of the anxiety, the depression, the mental illnesses. Because another fact as well is that these mental illnesses are after creating a false economy. They're after causing addictions to Xanax, Prozacs, all those benzoids, and they're after causing an addiction which creates a false economy. The doctors get paid off the government. Big Pharma makes a fortune. They take money from the government. They provide jobs. But that's a needless economy. It's a false economy. And then even the heroin addicts are being given methadone, which also creates a false economy because it has to run to the government. The government pay the chemists pay the big pharma, but it's all goes into a false economy. It takes it from the black market economy, so the heroin dealers don't make the money, but the government turn over their own money, creating a false and needless economy that originated because of the delayed consequences of their previous actions, if you know what I mean. That's enough for today. Tomorrow we'll talk about Brexit and the consequences of again the delayed consequences of our actions and where this whole thing is going. Look.